All right, so the last section of the video then is how we're going to apply the technique. So we're moving much more into exam style questions now here. In the previous sections in this lesson, we were getting the technique sorted and learning the skill of actually solving these equations. Now we need to put some words around the problem. So let's see, we've got a cylinder with radius 2x minus 1 and height has a volume of 20 pi. Use an algebraic method to find the value of x. Strictly speaking, you don't have to draw a sketch here, but it really does help to settle my brain. I find the words a little bit much sometimes, and drawing a little sketch, as bad and all as that sketch is, it does actually help me a little bit. So I've got a radius of 2x minus 1, so from here to here is 2x minus 1, and I've got a height of 5 cm. I'm going to leave the units out. I don't want all of my letters to get mixed up. I'll put it in at the end. And we know that its volume is 20 pi centimeters cubed. Use an algebraic method to find the value of x. No idea at this point, but let's read on. So in the question, they've told me its volume, and I'm dealing with a cylinder. So even if I don't know what to do, I should go and find the formula for the volume of a cylinder. So I've got that formula here and we write that down. At this point now, we just sub in anything that we can sub in. So do I know what V is? Yeah, I do. The volume is 20 pi. Pi is just pi. Do I know what r is? R is the radius, and the radius is 2x minus 1 squared. Oh, I'm going to have to square that bracket. And h is the height, that is 5. Right, so we're definitely getting an x squared out of this. So there's a feeling of quadraticness straight away. So one thing I can do you notice that on the right-hand side, you've got these three things multiplied together? So remember, if things are multiplied, you can kind of cancel easily enough. So what I can do is I can divide both sides here by pi, and that's going to remove that pi and make it a little bit easier. So all I did there was I divided both sides by pi, giving me 20 is equal to 2x minus 1 squared times 5. So now we're going to let our instinct guide us as to where to go next. I've got a bracket squared, so I feel like I should just probably do that. You can write it out twice if you want, or maybe you've got a shortcut of doing it without this middle step, entirely up to you. 2x times 2x is 4x squared. Negative 2x is take 4x. Minus 1 times minus 1 is positive 1. Now all of that is multiplied by 5. So I'll keep that there and I'll deal with it in a minute. Expand that 5 in is going to give me 5 times 4x squared, 5 times negative 4x, 5 times 1. So it's definitely feeling very trinomial-ish at this point. I've got that 20 over on the left. I would prefer for that to be a 0. It would feel a bit more familiar. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to let that be equal to 0. 20x squared, take 20x. 5, bring the 20 across. You're going to subtract 20 from it. 5 minus 20 is minus 15. So another thing to notice here is that I've got my coefficients. Oops, I left out my x. My coefficients are 20x squared minus 20x, and then my constant is negative 15. I could divide all of these by 5. Now, you don't have to do this. It'll work out even if you don't, but it'll just make your solving a little bit easier if you notice this. So I'm going to double bracket it. So what will I do? 4x and x, or 2x and 2x? I think 2x and 2x. And then 1 and 1. Minus 2x is minus 4x. That's correct, I think. So that gives me 2x is equal to 1, x is equal to a half. And oh, we've got the same again twice. 2x is equal to 1, so x is equal to a half. So in both cases, we've got a solution of x is equal to a half. Now, what was I asked to do again? Use an algebraic method to find the value of x. So we're actually done here. It's always worth rereading the question afterwards to make sure you've actually answered what you've been asked. All right, that's a really good question. I would strongly advise you to write it down. Just the actual exam technique that you're getting there of seeing words in the question, and even if you don't know exactly what way it's going to go, that you're writing down a relevant formula and you're doing some substitution. When you do that, you will always get method marks. Okay, it's your turn. Pause and have a go. in this question, we've ended up with two different solutions. Now, when you're dealing with area, perimeter, and volume, you always need to employ a little bit of common sense at the end. You were asked to find the value of y. Now, what are we dealing with here? Is y is involved in the radius, and it's also involved in the slant height. Now, if y were a negative number, then y plus 4 minus 19 over 3 plus 4 would be negative. You can't have a negative slant height. And likewise, if you sub that negative y in for L or for R, you would end up getting a negative number. You can't have a negative length, a negative radius, a negative slant height. Can't. So what we're going to do is we're going to reject that negative solution. And y is equal to 3 is our solution. And make sure you state that clearly in your exam, which one you're rejecting and which one you're keeping. The way I've written it just there is perfect. Should I put a little arrow in here maybe, just to be sure? Yeah, but I think it should be okay. Okay, so there was a lot in that lesson. Hopefully you got on okay. Do please make sure you pop onto the community chat if you've got any questions, if you're stuck on any of it, or if you want an extra explanation, or if you've got any problems with your homework or whatever. Okay, see you in the next video.